So, Bijan, can you tell me a little bit about your current position, which, from what I understand, is kind of new, and also what kind of needs do your clients usually have that you see
Okay.
most often? Yeah.
Sure. My current position is a family services associate. So, to my understanding, it's pretty new too. We had a program of, I believe they were college students who were doing what I do. Essentially, I meet up with clients during their wellness visits, and they disclose needs to the doctors. Those needs can include help paying for food or access to healthy food, their utilities in their house being turned off or them receiving notices that they will be turned off soon. Different issues with their housing conditions such as rodents, molds, leaks, the oven or stove not working, inadequate heating, or non-working smoke detectors. Also, parents who didn't complete school and who are interested in adult education. Those same parents having problems getting child care, making it difficult for them to work or go to school, and families who experience difficulties with getting transportation to and from their medical appointments, which also makes it hard to keep their medical appointments. And some of those families, they don't have housing. They're receiving notices that they may lose their housing because they're unable to pay rent or what else. And just some of the families going through domestic violence. So I connect those families to different resources to address those
Mhm.
needs.
Great. And so, how are these issues identified?
We now, at first they were just identified through them having conversations with the doctors, and at that time, food, of course, would be the most prevalent issue due to because it's connected directly to weight. But now we have the social determinants of health screening, which we call a family checkup to the families, where we pass them out at at the newborn visit, six month visit, and annually thereafter, and they fill it out, and they tell whether what the problem. Like one of the questions would be, within the past 6 months, have you been worried that you would run out of food before you got money to buy more? And the
Mhm.
options would be often true, sometimes true, or never true. And we basically address each of the domains that I've just listed to you, and they could
Mhm.
choose whether it's often true, sometimes true, or never true. So if it's any of the often true or sometimes true options being checked off on the family checkup, then I'll try to meet them at their appointment and give them resources right then and there. If not, I'll get a message from one of the providers that I need to speak with the family, so I'll give them a call.
Got it. And as you talk to them, do you sometimes um, identify additional needs that they may have?
Sometime I do, and sometime I realize that the family checkup we have, and some it's really helpful, but in some ways they ask generic questions. So, for instance, we have a question that asks about housing conditions, where in turn I would often give those families resources to help with tenant landlord mediation. However, some of these people may own their houses and just haven't been able to address the situation yet. So I really can't provide that resource.
Hmm. Got it. Great. And when I'm pausing, that just means I'm typing up notes.
No problem.
So, could you describe a typical, whether it's a phone call or meeting in person with a family? How do you start, and what happens during that either a visit or a call?
So when we have a visit, usually I'll get a doctor that calls me, and she'll say, I have a family that's experiencing food insecurity, for example, I'll ask the doctor whether the family's from D.C., Maryland, or Virginia, because we have different resources based on the city that you live in. And I'll go to the room that they're in, and I'll introduce myself and let them know my role, what I do know, and how it relates to what I can do for them and what I'm going to do with them. And I let them know that the doctor disclosed that they could use resources for food, and they'll agree to get those resources. Or some people would decline the referral and say that they're working on something, or they're about to get food stamps, or they're in the middle of getting a new job. And once they agree to getting those resources, I'll give them a listing of places that help with that need.
Do you ever directly refer patients, as in get on the phone or start the paperwork?
Yeah, I have. So I've referred patients for furniture and for food. Some of the families, because these issues aren't new to them, they'll already have an idea of where to go to get the help. And some of the places will require a referral. So I'll either fax a referral or email to a specific organization.
And do you follow up about whether or not they access or receive the services they need?
Yes, from 2 weeks of me referring them to a service, I follow up with them to see if they made the connection to get the resource. Sometimes they may find out that a resource have ran out of money and they're no longer offering the help right now. Or some of the families, you'll think they need to get something in an urgent matter, but they won't connect to the place that I refer them to.
I see. And it sounds like follow-up is with family. Do you ever follow up with the places that they're referred to?
No.
Okay, great. All right. And does the issue of mental health or behavioral health ever come up? And if it does, what do you do?
Usually the doctors will address that, and they will refer them to psychologists or to social workers, so I really don't deal with that much.
And when you hear back from families about what they have received or didn't receive, do you pass that information back to, say, the doctor or other colleagues?
Yes. So we deal with a program on the computer called ECW,
Hmm.
which they can send me referrals to ECW. Well, they can actually refer a family to see me. If it comes from a specific doctor, I'll send it back to that doctor just to close that loop and let the doctor know that the family did get the help.
And if it's not through ECW, what do you do?
I don't.
Okay.
Usually. I mean, unless the doctors ask me.
Okay. Got it. All right. So, it sounds like the only person from the, I guess, Children's National Team, for lack of a better word in my head right now, that you interact specifically with for helping families address these social needs are the doctors.
Mm, For the
Are there
most
others?
part,
Mm-hmm.
for the
Please.
most part, if they
Yeah.
have a unique need, or if they have a unique need, or they are looking to be referred to a specific place, I'll seek help from a social worker. One of the social workers happens to be my supervisor, or I'll seek help from the other family service associates to see if they know other places to refer the family to. But for the most part, it's me working with the doctor.
Got it. And um, just now you mentioned that in terms